Ladies and gentlemen, the world just changed. And for the first time in history, the United Nations has officially named the gravest crime ever committed against humanity.
We shall now begin the voting process. The result of the vote is as follows. In favor, 123. Against, 3. Abstentions, 52. Therefore, draft resolution A/80/L48 is adopted.
And no, this is not what you think, because led by Ghana, a historic resolution just passed that has the West trembling and the Global South cheering. But here's the kicker. While 123 nations said yes, 3 major world powers tried to kill it. Who voted against it, and why now in 2026? And more importantly, does this mean trillions of dollars in reparations are finally coming? Stick around, because what just happened on the floor of the United Nations this week is going to rewrite your history books forever.
Guys, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button and subscribe. These videos take quite a long time to make, so if you could help me out, I'll love you forever. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get back to this crazy story.
Thank you. I lay this wreath in memory of our ancestors who suffered the indignity of enslavement. May today mark a restoration of their dignity and their humanity. Amen.
Okay, media, are you okay with the position?
The high road for us.
Queen Mother, can I get you to say cut the check?
Yes. Queen Mother going to work on at the United Nations. Cut the check.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, hey, how are you doing?
The President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. Can we welcome him, please?
Thank you very much. You may be seated. That was quite a surprise.
So here are the facts. In fact, on March 25th, the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery, President John Dramani Mahama of Ghana stands up. He doesn't ask for a moment of silence, but he demands a legal reckoning. Then, the resolution officially classified the trafficking of enslaved Africans not just as a tragedy, but as the gravest crime against humanity.
The entire transatlantic slave trade was designed to deny African people their humanity.
So the resolution officially clarifies the trafficking of enslaved Africans not just as a tragedy, but as the gravest crime against humanity. But why did the United Nations of all countries, Argentina and Israel, voted no? But you think that everyone would agree slavery was a crime, right? Right? Well, the reason they voted against it is actually hidden in one specific word in the resolution. And I'll tell you what the word is in just 60 seconds.
In the Gold Coast of Africa, to commemorate the beginning of freedom.
And it is that word called reparations. In fact, the resolution doesn't just look backward. It calls for reparatory justice. We are talking formal apologies, the return of stolen artifacts, and the big one, financial compensation against the countries. And you will recall that in President Mahama's speech, he said that justice begins with calling things by their proper names. He's calling out the architecture of slavery. And it wasn't just a few bad people. In fact, it was a state-sponsored system. But while Ghana is pushing for the truth, President Mahama just accused the US administration of doing something dangerous, something he calls normalizing the erasure of black history. And his proof, it is happening right now in schools. And that is why personally, I always found it difficult and amusing why black Americans still think that Africans live in bushes, and some of them even tell us that they don't know, they never knew about slavery. Like, they always have to come to the motherland to know about slavery. So I was making videos asking myself, how? Why? Is it that they don't know this? Because this is on the internet. Knowing that, according to Ghana's president, the US have taken out all the black slavery history from their curriculum, and any institution who the state sponsors is prevented from telling this history or adding it to their books.
Here in the United States, black history courses are being removed from school curricula. Schools are being mandated to stop teaching students about the truth of slavery, segregation, and racism in American history courses. Books about those topics are being banned in schools and public libraries. Museums, art centers, and other institutions whose budgets rely in any way on public funds are being prohibited from scheduling exhibitions and programs or from displaying materials promoting racial awareness or black history. Much like the law that was put in place to regulate the punishment of the enslaved in Barbados, these policies are becoming a template for other governments as well as some private institutions. At the very least, they are slowly normalizing the erasure. They are slowly normalizing erasure.
Mahama didn't hold back. In fact, he warned that dismantling of slavery exhibits and the removal of black history from school curricula in the US is a template for other countries to follow. In fact, by saying that, he is basically saying that while the UN is finally admitting the truth, some of the most powerful countries on earth are trying to delete the receipt. This isn't just a war of words. In fact, there is a massive decade of action starting right now, and that could change the economy of the entire African continent. And if you think that is just about history, then you are missing the 100 million trillion elephant in the room. The African Union has already declared 2026 to 2035 as the decade of action on reparations. And economists have estimated the theft of human labor and resources during the slave trade to be worth anywhere from $10 trillion to $100 trillion. Now, this resolution at the UN is the legal foundation that the African Union needs to start making formal claims. But wait, did you just know that the European country has already broken rank and apologized? The Netherlands is currently the only major European power to issue a formal apology.
Slavery could not exist without a motivation why it was that white Europeans could not be enslaved, but black Africans could be. Right? So there is a foundation of racism there that has its long legacy that we still live with.
And with this new UN resolution, the pressure on the UK, France, Portugal is also becoming unbearable. There is a massive backlash growing. Critics argue that modern states shouldn't be held responsible for what happened 400 years ago.
Were human beings who were trafficked and then enslaved by people who believed they could own those human beings as chattels, as their personal property.
So what does this mean to you? Whether you are in the diaspora, in Africa, or anywhere else, the resolution changes how your children will be taught history.
We have advanced the cause of justice, and we have done that so emphatically. Those who voted in favor, 123 member states of the United Nations. 52 abstained, and only 3 voted against. This is an emphatic victory for justice. And our ancestors, Africans and all people of African descent, are today honored that our humanity and our dignity have been restored. Let me, on behalf of the African Group, express our profound appreciation to all member states who supported this resolution. We wish to thank those who engaged in its consideration in a spirit of dialogue, reflection, and good faith. We acknowledge that views differed during this process, and we note the positions taken by delegations that were not in a position to support the resolution at this time. The adoption of this text is not an arrival at a destination, but rather a major step in our ongoing journey and collective conversation for reparatory justice. We remain committed to continued engagement with all member states in the shared spirit of cooperation.
But there's a secret part of this resolution that almost nobody is talking about. In fact, now, part of the resolution demands the prompt and unhindered restitution of cultural items. And we are talking about the thousands of artifacts currently sitting in London and in Paris museums. Now, this is about more than money. In fact, it's about returning the soul of the continent. And President Mahama said this is a safeguard against forgetting.
People sometimes try to put a disclaimer on slavery by insisting that you cannot use the social norms of today to judge the actions and events that took place in the past. Well, such people are loud and wrong. Just because everybody is doing something doesn't make it right. Slavery is wrong now, and it was wrong then. For as long as Africans have been trafficked and enslaved, there have been abolitionists who have spoken up against it.
So is this the beginning of a new global order, or will the 52 countries that abstained from the vote find a way to ignore it? Now the answer lies in what happens in the next 12 months. We are going to know that. But in all of this, all you need to know is that history is being written right now. And for the first time, the gravest crime has a name. Ghana has led the way, but the right for justice is just beginning. Now, do you think that the final reparations are the answer, or is the formal apology enough? Let me know in the comment section. I'm reading each and every single comment. It's a wrap for today.
Humanity of our ancestors who were enslaved, and as a matter of course, our own humanity. Recently, someone asked me to explain the importance of the resolution on the declaration of the trafficking of enslaved Africans and racialized chattel enslavement of Africans as the gravest crime against humanity. And I responded without pause or hesitation. And I'd like to share what I told him. This resolution allows us as a global community to collectively bear witness to the plight of about more than 12.5 million men, women, and children whose homes, communities, names, families, hopes, dreams, futures, and lives were stolen from them over the course of 400 years. I speak these words today not only for Ghana, but also in solidarity with the rest of Africa, the Caribbean, Latin America, and the wider diaspora, and indeed all people of good conscience throughout the world